Okay, so you've seen it everywhere, right? These incredible songs that an AI generates from just a few words. It honestly feels like magic, but it's also kicking up a massive storm around a really old question. Who actually owns the art? Today, we are going to unpack the whole AI music dilemma.
And look, we've got to start here with the artist. I mean, if you spent years, maybe your whole life, learning an instrument, mastering music theory, pouring your soul into your craft, seeing a machine pump out a pretty decent track in 30 seconds, yeah, that can be jarring. That feeling is 100% valid, and it's right at the heart of this entire conversation. Which brings us to the big one, the central question. Is it the person who typed in the prompt? Is it the company that built the AI? Or, and this is a weird one, is it nobody? To even begin to answer that, we need to understand where this tech actually comes from. What's so fascinating is that this idea, generating music from a set of rules and systems, it isn't new at all. In fact, you could say that AI is just the latest chapter in a story that's literally thousands of years old. For like 2,500 years, we have been trying to crack the mathematical code of music. It goes all the way back to Pythagoras figuring out these simple ratios that make notes sound good together. You see it in the Renaissance, and then you get someone like Bach, who created these fugues with just mind-bending mathematical precision. This whole history just goes to show you music and math have always been dance partners. AI isn't some alien thing, it's just the next step in this very, very old tradition.
So, how does today's AI pull it off? Well, without getting totally lost in the weeds, a popular method works kind of like a game between an art forger and an art critic. You've got one part of the AI, the forger, that's constantly trying to make music that sounds like a human made it, and then you have the other part, the critic, which has been trained on tons of real music, and its only job is to spot the fakes. They go back and forth millions of times until the forger gets so unbelievably good that it can fool the critic. Okay, so we've got this long history of mathematical music, and now we have these incredibly powerful new tools. But this is where our story hits a brick wall: modern copyright law, a system that was just not designed for machines.
When it comes to the law, everything, and I mean everything, boils down to these two words. Here's the deal. The U.S. Copyright Office is crystal clear on this. To get a copyright, a work must be created by a human being. A recent court case hammered this point home, ruling that art generated by an AI with zero human input can't be copyrighted. Why? Because the whole point of copyright is to encourage people to create things. Which, of course, leads to the obvious next question. We don't just let the AI run wild, right? We give it prompts, we guide it. So how much help from a human is enough to actually claim ownership? The legal standard they use is called sufficient human intervention. And let's be super clear on this one point. The Copyright Office has already said that just writing a text prompt is not enough. They see your prompt as the idea, but it's the AI that's doing the creative expression. And expression is what copyright protects. So what does count? Think of it this way. You have to be the one in the driver's seat. It means taking the raw stuff the AI gives you and doing something major with it. Arranging it in a really creative way, writing and adding your own original lyrics, playing a guitar solo over it, or significantly changing the melody. The bottom line is the final work has to be driven by your own mental conception, not the AI's. And this next part is a big one, so listen up. If you do use AI and you want to register a copyright for your human contributions, you absolutely have to tell the Copyright Office. You have to be upfront about which parts were made by the AI, and you have to basically say, I'm not claiming to own those bits. If you don't do this, they can cancel your registration. It's a huge deal. All right, enough of the legal theory. What does this actually mean for you? Right now, when you're using a platform like Suno, what are you really getting? If you dig into Suno's own rules, you see a massive difference. If you're using a free plan, you can only use the songs for personal, non-commercial stuff, and Suno keeps the ownership. But if you pay for a Pro or Premier plan, you get commercial rights. And here's the key, Suno assigns its ownership to you. But what are they actually assigning? And here it is. This sentence right here perfectly shows the legal tightrope everyone's walking. Buried deep in their terms of service is this giant disclaimer. Suno is basically saying, hey, we'll give you whatever rights we have to this song, but we can't promise that those rights include real, legally defensible copyright. And why would they say that? Because they know exactly what the U.S. Copyright Office thinks about human authorship. So,
If you've done all that work, if you've added sufficient human intervention, what you most likely get is something called a thin copyright. It's a real copyright, for sure, but it's thin. It protects works that have just enough originality to scrape by, but not much more. So let's break that down, because this is where the rubber meets the road. You own your unique contributions. Your lyrics, your killer arrangement, the bass line you added, that's all yours. But you do not own the core melody or the chord progression that the AI spat out. And that means another user could get the exact same output from the AI, use it in their song, and they probably wouldn't be violating your copyright. Your protection is pretty limited. Okay, so let's circle all the way back to that artist from the beginning, the one feeling like their life's work is being devalued. Now that we have all this information, how should we be thinking about this?
Probably the best way to look at it is through this analogy. The AI isn't the artist. The AI is the query. It provides a completely infinite supply of raw material, of raw marble. Anyone can go get a block of marble, but it takes the skill, the taste, the vision of a sculptor, developed over years of blood, sweat, and tears, to turn it into a masterpiece.
So it all comes down to a shift in perspective. Instead of seeing AI as a replacement, as this threat that's here to devalue your skills, you can see it as a new kind of tool. Think of it like the most versatile session musician you could ever hire, one that never gets tired, knows every style imaginable, and is there to augment your skills, letting you focus on the stuff only a human can do. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Throughout history, new tools, from the camera to the synthesizer, have completely changed how art gets made, but they've never actually replaced the artist. The artist's job has always been to use the tools they have to express a unique vision, a human truth. So while this new tool is more powerful than anything we've ever seen, has the fundamental job of the artist really changed at all?